Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, bro. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony. We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
Oh, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 45 with my brother, Lukey Worthington. It's good to have him on the show. We go through a few of the cool stories, funny stories, parties, all that sort of crazy stuff from over the years. Get into some pretty cool like topics and just a little bit of an insight into our childhood, which is cool. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode. If you want to hear more episodes with Lukey, make sure you let me know in the comment section so that I sort of know if you guys are into hearing our crazy stories. I definitely have fun recording this one. It was a trip down memory lane, so it was fun for me. Hopefully it's just as fun for you guys, if not more, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, if you want to check out some dates coming up, we've got some coming up in August. So on the 1st of August, you can catch me at Smith's Alternative in the city, starting at 7 o'clock for an open mic. That's if I get a spot. Who knows? Or maybe I won't. I'll announce the dates on my Facebook and Instagram, maybe. Usually Facebook, though. So I'll give you those social media details at the end of the plugs. I've also got... There's multiple open mics on around town throughout the month of August, so make sure you check out my Facebook page for those, which I'll give you in a moment. But one to look out for is on the 17th of August, I've got the Basement Open Mic Comedy. So that's the room that I run at the Basement in Belconnen. It starts at 7:30, doors from 7. Make sure if you're going to go along, you call ahead and book for that one. Last month was so busy that they got smashed for orders and drinks and stuff, and basically just would prefer you go ahead and book that one if you're going to go along to the show, because they do get fairly good crowds. And as far as other gigs, we've got the 26th of August will be the Boardwalk in Belconnen. But for anything else, you can check me out on my social medias at Marky Worthington Comedy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you haven't already checked out the YouTube channel, make sure you check this one out. This is actually a video episode as well, so if you're only listening to the audio, make sure you go over and check out the video as well, because this is like a good visual episode. It nearly looks like I'm interviewing myself. Lukey and I got like at this point in time rocking the same haircut. That's not always what happens. Just throughout the years, we always sometimes end up circling back to looking the same again. So yeah, first of all, we're not twins, so just letting you know that. Hope you enjoy the episode. I did have some audio issues throughout the episode with like interference from like a mobile phone or something like that. So you will hear that occasionally. I can't edit it out because I recorded it all on one track. So yeah, that's what I'm about when it comes to free podcasts. The audio is got to be top notch. But yeah, aside from that, fucking awesome episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you out at one of the gigs or on one of my streams. I stream on Sundays, doing retro gaming starting from 4 till 6 on my Twitch channel, which is Marky Worthington Gaming. I also restream that on YouTube, which I mentioned before, Marky Worthington Comedy. So yeah, cheers for tuning in, and let's get into the episode.
I love that it's the Marky Worthington podcast with Marky Worthington.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the talking part of the podcast. You've heard the intro, you know all the dates, you know all the information about me, you even know what episode number it is. But now we're in the fun part where I get to introduce, for the first time ever, he's been on the Canberra Metalheads podcast, but for the first time ever to the show, my one and only brother, Lukey Worthington. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, man, not too bad. Yourself?
Good to have you actually on the comedy podcast. I kind of opened it up to have other people aside from comedians on there when I had people like Trant and like some of the fellas from over the years on the show. So I was like, hey, I may as well get my brother on here and actually back up some of the fucking stories I've told on this shit over the years.
It. Yeah, little do they know the fucking bribe he chucked me beforehand just to roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. Just like me, you pay me enough money, I'll fucking go along with it.
Yeah, that's the point of the gag, bro.
But yeah, we've done a couple of I've done a couple of rants. So what I do is I'll have like a comedian on the show, and then we'll mix it up a little bit and have like somebody that's not a comedian, like I've had Trent, I had my buddy Stewie Keys, had people over the years. So we've had a few fucking crazy stories together, things over the years. So the metal podcast was more something that we just basically spoke more about bands and shit, right? So this was like a good platform to just be able to say whatever the fuck we wanted to without the limitation of radio where I had to try and not swear for an hour for some reason.
We weren't meant to swear on the radio station. Fuck, man.
It just meant that I had to do more editing by the end of it. So like we do like an hour-long episode to take out the swearing. You got about 45. I had to chuck a track in the middle just to make up the time.
The whole section where I'd drop something and be like, fucking cunt shit.
I remember when I first had you on the Canberra Metalheads podcast, Lukey's just walked in with like the biggest fucking can of Red Bull you ever seen in your life. I was there with the co-host at the time. And a water.
Yeah.
At the end of the podcast, walks out, empty can of Red Bull, untouched bottle of water. Like, I'm not fucking around.
I was used to, and I still fucking do it, man. Like, I try and be good. I fucking got my like fucking no sugar ginger beers and shit nowadays. I'm off the grog and I'm like, oh, I'll drink an energy drink, but I'll level it out with like a bottle of water. And then I just never fucking touch the bottle of water.
Yeah.
And it's the same as like when I was like working in the kitchen, bro. Like if I didn't start the day by drinking water and just like sort of like veered off into drinking like 100 coffees or something, I would like end the day by never even touching water. So I had to like fucking get myself into the habit of like drinking like 4 or 5 bottles of water a day. Otherwise it just never fucking happened.
You gotta force it down. I think that was soon after you'd stopped drinking booze. So it was like kind of in that middle ground where you kind of replaced booze with caffeine.
Yeah, man. It's like, and I've always been like, because I've always like, when I was drinking pretty heavily. So like, instead of just like sitting down drinking like 3 or 4 beers, and
of course I need to relight already,
sucker. And just like drinking like fucking 3 or 4 beers and relaxing, I'd like drink beers like you'd drink any other fucking liquid. So I'd be sitting there drinking like fucking like 10, 20 beers. And just be like, fuck, I'd just be like, I drink plenty of liquids. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's just like, went off into everything else. Like fucking, when I was like drinking like tea and coffee and shit like that, I'd be drinking like 15, 20 cups a day. And people are like, how's your caffeine consumption like? I'd be like, it's about normal.
It's like me giving up caffeine for a little while there. I was like, oh, I've just replaced caffeine with black tea. Now I have to drink 40 of the cunts. You know?
Yeah. Be like fucking... Used to see it all the fucking time working on the bar, bro. Like, the amount of cunts would come in and be like, oh, I get a schooner of light. And you'd be like, yeah, all right. And you'd think, oh, yeah, good cunt, probably driving.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back and they'd drink like 15, 20 lights. And you'd be like, oh, you just drink like a full strength beer. And they're like, no, I'm drinking light. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But if you drink like 5 full strength beers, you don't have to drink 20 light beers.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no, I'm cutting back on booze. I'm like, no, you're fucking not, cunt. Like,
yeah. It's like you're not just cutting back on booze, you're also adding the whole bunch of extra fucking carbs and sugar into it.
Yeah. Yeah, not fucking achieving shit.
You know, it's fucking sad when all of a sudden cutting down on the booze is the first approach. And then, like, so you've probably seen it a lot with people at the bar. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to drink tonight. But it's like, yeah, but I'll just have the same amount, but just in Cokes.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever had a fucking 20 Cokes in one night and woke up in the morning?
Yeah, it's fucked. And I found that when I first quit drinking, man, I'd like go out to a bar and like my friends would be like, oh, I'll buy you a Coke. And then you end up in the shout, but your shout's the Coke. So like, they're like, you know, you're like 10 blokes in and you're drinking like 10 Cokes, and you're like, nah, just fucking bring me like a glass of water or something.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fucking.
Yeah,
They're like,
just-
oh, what, you don't want another Coke? I'm like, no, I don't want another fucking Coke. Like, it's just shit. I don't need to be awake and angry all night. Like,
just fucking pissing your pants by the end of it.
Yeah.
You didn't even have any booze.
yeah, that's it. It's weird, like, generally by, like, when I was drinking, like, end of the night, you don't remember the 20th trip to the toilet or stumbling and falling over in the fucking urinal. But when you're sitting there for the 20th time in the fucking urinal at the pub when you're sober, it's weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're fully aware of, like, all the smackheads doing Coke off the top of the cistern in the stall and shit like that. You don't just happen to come across it anymore. You're
You're
like,
just dead sober, just fucking staring at some cunt doing drugs, and you're like, "What the fuck? Like, is this normally what I'd be staring at, but not realize?"
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
it's like you've fucking stumbled on the underworld. Like you've come in. It's like Silent Hill, only you're sober and they're all in Silent Hill.
yeah, it's like, yeah.
They don't know you're
everything-
there.
Yeah, everything else is fucked up around them. And, like, you're just like, oh, yeah, right, fully. But, like, the amount of times I've...
fully.
It's fully sick, bro. The amount of times I've, like, since, like, being sober, gone to a pub that I don't think I've ever been to, and then been into the toilet and just had, like, blackout flashbacks of being huddled around the cistern in that toilet and just been like, yeah, I've fucking been here before.
Yeah, yeah. You don't know if you've been to a pub before till you stare at the top of the cistern and recognise it.
Like, oh,
Hang on, this is in a suppressed memory somewhere. I remember trying to get the last little bit out with me fucking fingernail that I dropped down inside the button.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
go to a shitty toilet where you push the button and it just stays pushed in. Well, someone probably lost a key bump down there.
Yeah, man.
Drugs. So, that was like straight after you'd kind of gone sober. And how long you've been off the booze now for?
5 and a bit years.
You were just looking down as if you got it like tattooed on your wrist. Like the
No
top.
numbers tattooed on my arm, man.
Yeah, that's fucking. You see people. You
You're like, oh, did you, daddy?
It took me way too long to get that. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, yeah, he's very proud of his sobriety. Oh, cunt. Yeah. It's okay. Well, we managed to make it fucking 8 minutes into it so far. I was like, I was thinking about this before the show. I'm just like, oh fuck, this could go in any direction because it's like having two me's interviewing myself.
Yeah.
It's like if I took a split off path into a different direction where I hit the booze harder and then stopped.
Yeah, it's like fucking... Remember back in school, there was that cunt that looked just like me? He was like the year below me, and he had like...
Wasn't that a chick with the same hair?
No, that was the one I dated. No,
Yeah.
This was the fucking bloke.
Because I remember there was that chick that had the same hair as you.
Yeah, just like fucking rail it from behind and just be like, fuck, I'm fucking myself.
Yeah. You're like grabbing your own hair and you're like, you think that you go to grab it and it's like a ghost image, but it's actually hair and you're like, am I in front or behind of me?
No, there was that bloke that like had the same hair as me, and it was back when I like started like smoking weed and shit, and like every fucking 14-year-old cunt that was like, I'm gonna start smoking fucking blunts.
Had the same hair.
I was like, I should get dreadlocks. That would be so fucking cool. And I was like, that's it, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna get dreadlocks. And then that cunt came to school with dreadlocks, and I seen how much of a fucking poofter he looked like. I was like,
if you had his hair.
if I got dreadlocks, I was like, well, I'm fucking glad I didn't commit to that.
That's like, it's like there was a dude in our year. You remember Tom?
Yeah,
Bob?
fucking Bob.
Yeah. So, like, I know he listens to the show. Kobe used to always just be like, do you smoke weed, mate? Like, every time he'd see him, it's a white guy with dreadlocks just walking up, just like, oi, you smoke weed? Like that, just every time he'd seen him, it got to the point where the dude was just getting fucking fed up with it. And that same dude that in your year, he'd do the same thing. Any white guy with dreadlocks at school was not safe from Kobe walking up going, do you smoke weed, mate?
And that's why he fucking did it, man. And like, I remember at the pub, we used to like, once people knew that I'd sort of like done a bit of like other shit, I was like the guy people would come to and be like, oh fuck, like I came out but I forgot to score before I came out. And like it'd quite often just be like cunts looking for weed, you know. And I'd just be like, just go up to any fucking white cunt here in a trench coat with dreadlocks, and I can guarantee you they will sell you some fucking weed.
Yeah.
And like we tried it a couple of nights. We'd be out at like a bush doof or something, and someone would be like, "No, that's just a stereotype. You're banging on people."
Wait,
I'm
you
like,
mean everybody at a bush doof?
yeah, and I'd just be like, fucking try it. And like, it'd be true. Like 9 times out of 10, there'd be some shady cunt that looked like the movie stereotypical fucking drug dude. And you'd go up to him and be like, hey man, got any weed? And I'd be like, yeah man.
So unless they're refilming a fucking doof version of The Matrix, these cunts got weed. Like, no one wears a leather trench coat anywhere these days.
Oh, that's not true. You've seen Black Mountain.
Oh yeah, true. Shout out to Black Mountain, soon releasing an album. Long
Finally.
time coming, yeah. Just like fucking hell. Yeah, that comes out. I pre-ordered that actually. Should be a good one.
I went through and pre-ordered all the Eshatonic stuff coming up.
Yeah. No.
Got the pus stuff chilling, waiting for that release too.
Yeah, fucking shout out to Eshatonic Records for putting out some rad shit.
Fucking Esha Records.
Esha.
JSA.
Actually, I plan to have him on this show at some point soon. He's been getting into the idea with me of doing some gaming stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get my ass kicked by you at fucking Street Fighter.
Yeah, because you know that, like, not only is he good at it, but he's been good at it since it came out.
Yeah. It's like when you renew your license instead of sitting for it again. He's just got to freshen up on it every time he plays it now because he's already got the muscle memory. Yeah, fuck me up on that for sure. But hey, it'll be a fun thing. But yeah, what was the fucking story I was going to get into? So you're saying about rough fucking pubs. Tell us the fucking time that you travelled through the Shamrock.
Oh, fuck. Alright. So the bloke I was living with at the time had parents that lived in Cowra. And we're like, I think it was a long weekend or something like that. We both used to work at a bar. And we managed to have the long weekend off. And we're like, oh, fuck it. We'll go out and see Max's parents in Cowra. And it was like, by the time we got through, this was in Burra. By the time we got through, it was pretty late night. And there was just a couple of dregs in the top pub. Max had a friend that worked in there and she was working. So we pulled in. And I was sitting there, I had like my band vest on. And I just got me fucking pint. And I just rolled me fucking cigarette. And I was sitting there and this dude come up from the other side of the bar and he was like, we were standing near the doors and I didn't think anything of it because he'd like have to walk past us to get out. And he was like, metalheads. And I was like, yeah, mate, like been doing like at that point had started and was going pretty successfully with like South Coast metalheads at that point. So I was just used to cunts being like, metalheads.
Yeah. Happens.
And like he's coming close to me and he's like, metalheads. And I was like, yeah, fucking Frankenstein over here. And the cunt just grabs me by the fucking scruff of my shirt and just starts fucking headbutting me. And he's like, fucking metalheads. And I was like, fuck. And I'm sitting there and I've got like this pint in this hand and like my cigarette. And I was like, drop the fucking cigarette. And I was like, fuck, do I just ram this fucking pint into the side of this cunt's head? Or do I just sit here and take this like a bitch? And before I could make that fucking split second decision, the dude just fucking let go of me and walked off. Yeah, and I was just sitting there like fucking pint, picked up my cigarette.
He was a bit bow-legged on the walk-off, right?
Yeah, he was like fucking, yeah, he definitely did more damage to his head hitting my noggin
it's like,
than anything.
Luke's got the hardest fucking head, so this guy's just about knocked himself out on your head and stumbled away.
Yeah, he like fucking inadvertently headbutted himself.
Yeah, with your head. He found out just how metal your head was.
Yeah. Anyway, this dude, anyway, he fucking disappeared off into the night and the publican was like just sitting there and everyone was just shocked. I looked up and I was like, fuck, that was a bit rough, and started drinking my beer. And I looked and like everyone in the bar, which was like all 10 people by this point, were just like staring at us like, the fuck was that? And the publican was like, you alright, man? Like, do you want to make a complaint or something? And I was like, nah, like fucking, if you if you see him, tell him you can't just go around headbutting cunts. But like everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And like, you know, my mate's just sitting there, like Max is standing next to me, like, "Oh, well, finish your beer. We better get going. Like, fucking, better get out of here."
It's been good hanging out with you, man.
It's like, I'm just gonna leave you here, bro.
You're right to get home, are you?
Yeah, man.
Fuck yeah, dude. He just goes out. You just see him driving off with that guy in the car instead.
Got him.
Can't. It was worth me long weekend off just for that. Do you need to live home, bro?
He's a bit concussed, like hanging out the window.
Well, yeah, that's one of those fucking stories. I definitely think there's some fucking stories that involve other people that I'd prefer to just wait if I ever had them on the show to tell it.
Yeah.
I prefer to keep shit that's like our story or your story to tell. But one that I keep fucking bringing up to people is because people were talking about the old man and how, you know, he's a tough fuck, but he's like, you know, caring and all that shit. But then there's the stories of like when he'd just come and pick you up from a fucking weekend bender.
Yeah, it'd be on like the arse end of like, especially just before I dropped out of school. I'd like just fuck Friday off and then just like start at the pub with the boys. And then we used to like fucking just end up, we'd go to like a gig that night, gig Saturday night, after parties, so like fucking Sunday, and he'd either get me on like the Sunday afternoon or like come find me on a Monday morning. I'd just send him some vague direction of like, I'm near a blue house near Tomic, and he'd be like, sick. But like, and there'd just be like them fucking life lection, like, not like, mate, what are you fucking doing with your life? Like, not like that shit, but he'd just be like, he'd like start calm, like, you know, just like that calm before the storm, be like, oh yeah, good weekend, mate. Like, yeah, it's a bit fucking hungover. He'd be like, oh yeah. Who are them fucking blokes you're hanging out with? Like, fucking, it'd just be like, start on you, you know, like, and you'd be like,
He'd wind up, get the fucking run up. He'd like come and knock on the door of the conversation, and then like if he heard there was someone in there, he'd just step back a little, be like, good, it's gone, and then the door would just fling open, like the metaphorical door of the conversation would just fucking get booted in.
yeah, man.
What?
Yeah, but like, and then just as you thought it was over, you'd be like, fuck, and you'd be like, oh yeah, fucking dodgy cunt you're hanging out with. And then you'd be like, oh yeah, and you'd be like, oh yeah. So what are you doing for the rest of the afternoon? You'd be like, oh yeah. You'd tell him, they'd be like, I'm probably just going to be fucking sleeping on the lounge or something, you know? And he'd be like, oh yeah. You're not going to be doing anything because you're fucking hungover and wasting your life away, you know? Just be like, fuck, and here we go.
Wind up again. Oh man, there's like, I remember one time I went to hang out with this girl. Couple of girls. I won't name names. Basically, we're all hanging around, sleeping in a fucking caravan that night. And I've just decided to myself, all right, well, I suppose I'm just gonna sleep off the night in the caravan, and then I knew Dad was coming to pick me up the next day at like 10 o'clock. So I'm like, everyone's still gonna be asleep because we were up late. So I take me, because I can't sleep with socks on, right? Like it starts off like a good idea, but then halfway through the night it cooks your fucking feet and you have to kick the cunt off. So take the sock off as well. Anyway, so I took the, I've taken my socks off. Now in the morning, Dad's already messaged me and said he's out the front. So I'm chucking on me shit. I'm walking out the fucking door.
Just had to have a break from that cigar.
This story's so stressful, he's gotta have a cigarette.
Just had to catch my breath.
It's like not enough fucking nicotine in that for you, mate. You want to Davey
Do
you want to Davey the filter off the cunt first? Or?
Nah, she's right. No, because I remember.
Shout out to Texas Dave, man. He'd come and get a pack of Pall Mall purples, tear the filter off. Next time you go to shake his hand, it was fucking yellow, and you'd be like, "This is why there's filters on cigarettes, man." Like,
well, remember when I got
it looked like the front of the packet. You know the one on the front of the packet.
He was a hand model for Paul Mall.
Fuck, I was charging him for them.
No, but I remember the lead up to this story. Like I remember, like you being at like this fucking house with the two girls. Like I remember the girls and shit, and like I just remember the outcome of this, and I already like remember like the old man's like, because I got the other side of it. Dad being at home like, fucking Mark being out all fucking night. Like, you were the responsible one. When I did it, it was expected. But when you did it, it was
You're all
like...
right. Look, you haven't gotten out on the terps this weekend. But if I go out, it's just like, oh, he's fucking gone out for the night.
Mate, you got fucking school on Monday. Like, here I am, like, just like hadn't been at school in a week, passed out with like a Mosey sack in the lounge room. Like...
yeah, like a Mosey sack. That's a good one. Yeah, so, I'm there. I'm like, man, I can't find me other sock. Oh, well, she'll be right. Girls are both asleep. I chuck the fucking shoes on. Raw dog one shoe. Other ones I've still got a sock on one side. I get out to the car, and just as I'm about to fucking drive away, one of the chicks just runs out of the caravan and jogs up to the fucking side of the car, holding the fucking sock. You forgot your sock. This fat chick just crawls out of caravan holding the fucking sock. I'm not just wind the window down like a fucking shitty drive for her, and I'm like, thank you. Dad just does not say a fucking word. We get home. Still doesn't say a fucking word. It's just dead fucking silent. We get home. Yeah, fair enough. I think we went about the rest of the day. About 3 days later, you just rock up to me and just like, do you fuck a fat chick in a caravan?
Yeah, it was like the entire fucking time you're like, it's all good, that's like been forgotten about. Dad's like fucking like Inspector Gadget, that shit. He's like fucking, why was his fucking sock off? Why was he with a fucking fat chick? Like fucking
Was she into feet?
like trying to fucking work it out. Like Dad and I are just like stewing over it, like doing like that when we had that garden bit in the backyard. We'd be like digging up shit in the garden. And, like, he'd just be like...
Yeah, we lived in a house where the previous fucking 60 years of people just buried their trash in the backyard.
Yeah, doing that. Like, the old man would just be like, fucking... You just fucking leave the sock behind. Like,
he's just all caught up on it. Yeah. Just sitting there just like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Same as, like, remember that time you went around to fucking Jules's place and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna stay here. Like, you called up and you're like, you are obviously pissed.
yeah.
And like they're like trying to sober you up. You hear him in the background like, eat some pizza, Marky. And you're like, Dad, I'm just gonna sleep here the night. And we like lived around the fucking
I literally
corner.
just went over there to like hang out, maybe play some Xbox, whatever. Turns out he's got a fucking little house party going on. So they're just like, I'm just like, I can scull beers. And they're just like, oh yeah, how many can you scull? And I went, probably 6 in a row. And they were just like, what about 6 at once? And I'm like, probably can. And they're just like, all right then. Smash cut to me just sitting there holding a beer bong, and then 6 people all dumping beers into the top of the funnel. Me just being like, look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like the crew to do it too. Like, cause it
was the crew that then became your crew, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, not so
That
much.
was a funny
not so
night.
much fucking Jules and that, but like Jules' younger brother Jim.
Yeah.
And that, and see, like
Jim was there. He just wasn't part of. Like, he was just hanging out with us, but he wasn't sort of like. He was only him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's it. And like,
I think he just got back from Sydney. Actually,
he would have. But you see, like, you'd go around there and you'd just be like, oh, I'm just going around to hang out and shit, and then you'd be like, call up like fucking 4 hours later, like, Dad, I'm just going to sleep here the night. And Dad would be like, fuck you are. And then like when I started going around there, and I'd be like, I'm going around and drink a couple of beers at Jim's place, and he'd be like, all right, whatever, just because like I was straight up
you just
about
need to
it.
put the mic back up. It's falling out. I was still picking it up. It's just fucking anyway. Yeah, so I remember it was just after Jim got back from Sydney, and you know the shed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, many stories about that shit.
So we're all like drinking and fucking around in the shed, and he's just sitting on the step of the shed smoking a rollie, and it's just rained before that. He's just sitting there like with the dart sticking out of his mouth, and a drop of water just comes down and puts the cherry out, and he's like, oh. That was pretty good though. Like, I'm just sitting there, got a bit fucked up, and then that was the end of that. Walked away from it.
not me. He's fucking dragging me back.
Yeah, they just kept bringing you back in.
He used to be out.
And they brought me back in. No, but that was it was like the early days of like going out, because like, dude, I worked most of the time. Like, I started working when I was a kid, and I still haven't stopped. So like the 1 or 2 nights I'd get off a week, I'd just be like, oh yeah, I'll just go hang out with these fellas.
Yeah.
But I think the loosest night I ever had was with a bloke that I used to work in at the Bodlow with.
Oh, fucking...
Yeah, old mate.
Yeah.
And we're cruising. We start at the one in town, the Adelaide or whatever. What's the...
What, closest to, like, house end?
Across the other side of the bridge, not the waterfront.
Yeah, Addy.
We're at the Ad. We had a couple of drinks at the Addy. And then I'm like, I'm fucking hungry. So we go to Woolies and buy half a barbecue chook and eat it in the car park. And then we come back and have a few more drinks at the Addy. And then go over to the waterfront. I'm playing fucking pool with a bunch of backpackers and my mate.
Yeah.
We go back to the Addy just before they close. End up getting shut in there. And I remember at some point, old mate just is like holding me at the ATM. And I'm like, what? And he's just like, he's going like, now put in your PIN. I'm like, okay. Turns out he was buying so many beers he ran out of money. Like, he never we never did a shout. Just every time like I'd be ready, he'd be just handing me another one.
Yeah.
So I never got a chance to be like, oh, I'm done. Do you want one? Because he was drinking them faster than me.
Yeah.
So it got to the point in the night where he just like pushed me in front of an ATM and said, pull $100 out and give it to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only way to square the debt. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I pulled it out. I like see the $100 in my bank account the next day, and I'm just like, fair enough. And I see the $2.50 ATM fee, and I'm like, you cunt. So we go back to Thomas Street, and he's trying to convince me to drive the car. And I'm like, no, he's just give us your keys, man. It'll be fine. Look, I can walk. He does like the 90s DUI test in the front yard.
Yeah.
Like the straight line, says the alphabet backwards and shit. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I just watch you drink like about fucking 80 beers. Like, I'm not like... He's like, all right. So he had his BMX bike there. So I decide, you ever just go to someone's place and you can't sleep without the pillow?
Yeah.
So I'm drunk enough to remember to bring my pillow to stay at his place.
Yeah.
So we're cruising back. I'm sitting on the handlebars of his BMX bike. I've got the pillow over the handlebars, and I'm sitting on the pillow, and I'm leaning back, and he's got his hands around my legs with his head over my shoulder as we're flying down Murray Street Hill. And I've got my hand back like this, and I'm like, man, I love hanging out with you, dude. And he's just like, you're covering me fucking eyes, I can't see. So we're flying down the fucking hill. We nearly had enough juice to get back to his place, which was near Blue Gums Caravan Park. We're halfway up the fucking driveway, and as soon as we hit that point where I'd run out of puff, he's like trying to push down on the BMX bike fucking pedal, and we both just go, donk. So I just pulled my pillow out and fucking fell asleep in the driveway for a little bit.
Is that the night you tackled his roommate's fucking Christmas tree? And he's like, man, you can't just come to people's house and fucking wreck
So
their
his
Christmas
housemate
tree.
was already home, who also worked at Woolies. And yeah, we get in there, and I just vaguely remember like bits of the night. And one of the bits was him just like pushing me back, because it was just after Christmas. It was like just after Christmas, and the Christmas tree was still up. So I just remember smash cut to him just pushing me into the spare bed and being like, you need to go to sleep because you just tackled my fucking Christmas tree. Like, fuck, cunt, what do you...
Yeah, fucking would have done that sober.
It's like about time you packed it up, cunt. It's been 3 days already. What do you think, he's coming back with more shit for your crack den? This is Blue Gums Caravan Park. I will not be fucking disrespected in my fucking crack den, okay? I put those every hole in these walls I've earned. Yeah, that was good. The same dude called me because I've got the same name as his old man.
Yeah.
He was trying to call me one night, pissed, and just trying to get onto his dad to pick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, why are you calling me? He's like, come pick me up. And I was like, no. What a rough fucking night.
And that would have like led to like afterwards he's like sober and he's like the next day he's like, fucking hell, Dad, you wouldn't even come pick me up, cunt.
It would have led to him just being like, why did I fucking call that dweeb from work? But yeah, that brings us to a break point. Let's just take a quick break and we'll fucking get into the rest of the episode. Please flip over the tape to side B to hear the rest of this podcast. Alrighty, back after the break. For everybody at home, that was only a matter of a few seconds with a funky little fucking catchy track between the two. But for us, it was like, I don't know, 10 minutes and a fucking tea later. So let's kick off the second half.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about some stories and shit, and we are talking about, the old man and the whole... I think there was one story which we kind of mentioned before, which was the whole, like, you're just at a house party, sitting there, fucking waiting for him to pick you up, just walks in, everybody's fucking just, like, hungover or still coming down, and he just scopes the entire room, sees you and says...
He's just like, who are these blokes you're hanging out with? And like, some of my mates are dudes in like punk and like music scene and shit that like just gave no fucks about anyone. That were like, as soon as they saw my old man, were like, or our old man, were like, oh fuck man, this dude means business. Like, they'd all be like, oh fuck, like, oh, Luke, your dad's here to pick you up.
Actually respected him.
Yeah, like, scared of, like, fucking what would happen. And I think it's because of, like, when he came around to pick you up from that house.
It all came from that, yeah.
Because
it was just after Julesy broke his ankle on the fucking mechanical bull. That's another story. It's not much of a story. Basically, he had a bottle of fucking Jaeger on New Year's Eve before he went to the pub.
All done that.
And then... comes back in the next day. I had to go around to his place. Well, I went round to his place to hang his foot up on the fucking bed, and I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "Yeah, I think I hurt my ankle on the mechanical bull." And then took him to the hospital. Yeah, she was fucking broken, and he walked home from the waterfront on the fucking broken ankle. So that was a fun one. And then I was around there drinking, and the old man's just like, "I'm coming to pick you up." And Jules is just like, "Oh, I hope he doesn't want to fight us. I'm on crutches."
That's it. Because I remember, like, one of the first times he picked me up, hanging out with Jim, and it was the day I met fucking Uncle Jackson, and we went downtown. We were drinking beers downtown and stuff, and then we went back to theirs, and I like drank a 6-pack there, and I was this is back when I was like drinking 6 beers and couldn't walk. Being like all of like 14 or 15 at the time. And Dad comes to pick me up, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm at Jim's place, like, fucking come pick me up. I walk out, and I'm like, fucking, whoa, like, fucking, I was pretty boosted. And Jim like...
Whoa, I'm boosted. You turn into Otto. Whoa, okay, time to drive the school bus, Dad.
Dad picks me up, and like Jim walks out, and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And he's all like fucking, he's been a bit like fucking cautious. Dad's like, all right, yeah, boys, I'm fucking catch you later. I get in the car, we fucking drive off. The next day I'm around at Jim's, and Jim's like, oh, I was worried your dad wanted to fight us because that time we got Mark drunk. And I was like, nah, he's the important kid. I'm the let's see what happens kid.
Yeah, he did want to fight you when it was Mark.
He's the future. He's the guy that's got to pay for the retirement home.
We're talking earlier about how it's like I took a different path and that became you.
Yeah.
I'm literally I was talking the other day about like, fucking different life experiences, substances and shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, I know not to touch any of that because Luke was a great fucking canary down the mine shaft for that.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you see, the thing was too, I was thinking about this the other day, about like when I used to do everything, and especially at like a younger age, I did not tell my friends at school and shit. But like, because they were all...
They weren't relatable.
Yeah, they were like, oh, well...
Trying out booze for the first time.
Yeah, they were like fucking like, oh, I guess we'll get you some help. We'll try and help you out. Like, oh, fuck, Luke's doing hard drugs and shit. Whereas you, I'd just like come home. You'd be like, we'd just be chilling on the lounge. I'd be seedy as fuck. And I'd be like, oh, man, I tried MDMA for the first time last night. And you'd just be like, oh, yeah. I used to just burden you with this fucking information.
I'm like trying to do my fucking high school certificate, just like, yeah.
Like,
So that'll be a problem for me once I focus on something else.
Like, Mum's like, how's Lukey doing? And you're like, yeah, he's good. And you're just like having like fucking flashbacks of me.
Yeah,
just,
Luke's
like,
doing
fucking...
fine as long as you don't want a fucking bottle of wine out of that fucking cask you left there.
It's fucking, yeah, Mum, remember you, Mary, Mum?
Yeah.
It's not where you left it.
It's gone, and it's not Mary.
I tried to like fucking be like subtle about that too. I like left one bottle. It was a full case of wine.
Yeah,
it was like 12 bottles.
12 bottles of wine.
I was like, I left one, and I was like,
Mum
she
wasn't...
won't fucking notice that.
Yeah, Mum wasn't going to be like, oh, I must have accidentally drank 11 bottle of wine.
Same as like, came home and I was like, she had like very rarely brought beers, and they were in the fridge. And she had like 4 like fucking mid-strength beers or something like that.
Light ice.
Yeah, but fucking even worse.
Yeah, Foster's light ice.
And
yeah.
like fucking, I get home and I'm like, I'll fucking drink these cunts up. So I like fucking drinking. Mum comes in, sees me like drinking what she thought was a beer, but it was her last beer. She's like, don't drink any more of my beers in the fridge. And I was like, all right, I won't drink any more of your beers in the fridge. Like, fucking...
Yeah, because I came out and I'm like, look, don't you have school soon? Like, why are you drinking beers? And you're just, I'm like, why are you drinking the light ices? Shouldn't you be sobering up? And he's just like, that's why I'm drinking light beers.
Fucking trying to like...
I remember getting off school, on a night on the Mosey, just sitting there like, I have a couple of light beers to get me fucking level for school. Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's fucking goes to show the public education system, you know, like, I was very definitely fucked up at school, and they'd be like, are you alright? You're just a bit tired, are you? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just a fucking bit tired, I guess. Yeah, of course, I haven't slept yet, I'm fucking drunk. And they'd just be like, oh yeah, well, we'll just try and have a good night's sleep tonight. And you'd be like, yeah, fucking no wonder cunts shoot these places up.
Yeah, you're just literally sitting there just like, oh no, sorry miss, can't be sleeping tonight, I'm going to try shard for the first time.
Mate's coming down with some rock. Yeah, just going to a barbecue after school, cunt.
Oh, it's NAIDOC week, I'll jump on the fucking seafood didgeridoo. Alright, Luke, when you're done in the classroom, can you turn the light off? Yeah, sure. By turn the light off, she didn't mean just take the fucking light bulb out and walk out with it.
It's like, fucking weird, there was a light bulb in this room.
Oh, fuck. Yeah,
that's
dude.
the worst thing about crack, but people like, there's that joke, like, that crack was a bit moreish. Crack was a little bit moreish, was the fucking problem. Like, you see cunts that are
but it's not a box of fucking, like, peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, no, it's like...
Oh, they're a bit moreish. Like, just fucking light up the crack pipe and you're just like, oh, fuck, I know I shouldn't, but fuck. When in Rome.
That's it.
You know what they say when you're a crackhead? There's a fucking pile of crack rocks and they're just like, it's fucking 4 a.m. somewhere.
But like fucking, you're like, they always like, you see the pictures of like the seedy junkie and the wife beater, and it looks like it's really fucking, like he's really like, he's busting a lung token on that pipe. And then you smoke it and you're like, fucking smooth as a ciggy. You might have another one of that.
Yeah. Mind if I pinch a crack off you?
Just one crack, please.
Just one crack.
Same as that whole like fucking meth not even once thing. Like the amount of times, like, you speak to people that have done meth and you're like, how many times you done meth? They're like, fucking more than once.
Yeah. Yes. Fuck it. Yeah. No, it's funny, man. Like the amount of people that, especially being in like the nation's capital, are fucking low key crackheads.
Oh, dude, the fucking, I used to like, not to name names or anything like that, but like, you'd go and score from some cunt that'd be like a blue collar worker, you know, and that was like the fucking norm. It's like this whole depiction of like fucking, if you want to buy like rough shit, or if you're buying weed, it's generally from some share house, government department, fucking piece of shit. Oh, like government housing thing. But like all the
government department,
yeah, you're just rocking up to like an unmarked building, like just here to buy some crack.
Welcome to the Department of Communications. How may I direct your drug deal?
Like, Yeah, like the amount of cunts you'd buy like hard shit off that were like just like fucking blue collar dudes, you know, like fucking that was like their low key side hustle.
Trying to work up into white collar.
Yeah, work up.
I don't want to
something.
hear any comments about how I'm fucking smoking this cigar wrong. I said this on the Trent episode. I'm saying it again. My cigar, I'll fuck it how I want.
How do you fuck up smoking a cigar butt?
People are like, "Oh, you meant to fucking donkey dick it," and like, you're meant to roll the fucking ash off there. Blah 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 blah. Yeah,
Fuck off, cunt. Look, if you're gonna come to my fucking house and clean the donkey dick fucking cigar ash off the ground, I will fucking smoke it like that. Alright?
Just look down the barrel of the camera, like that Bill Burr bit about how like Ronald McDonald should like just be in. They should bring the clown back to the Macca's ads.
The fucking,
It's
you
just-
can't get out of bed before 10 a.m.
We're not doing all day breakfast. Okay, just fucking close in pan shot on the clown's face. Just like, if you can't get your lazy fucking ass. Where's my camera? If you can't get your lazy fucking ass out of the fucking bed before 10 a.m., you can have a fucking burger like anyone else. Just pans out, just pushes the kid on the swing, just to like make it family orientated.
That entire special was fucking good. That was when he had the submarine bit, like the bit about
Yeah.
the submarines
Yeah.
and the cruise and shit. That
Yeah,
was
it's
like
a good
fucking,
one.
that
Was that Paper Tiger? No, that was before Paper Tiger.
Yeah.
Paper Tiger was his most recent one. And then, he had I Walk Myself Out, was it?
Yeah.
Or You People Are All the Same? No, You People was all... Have you seen his early ones where he just comes out with his howdy-doody fucking baggy jeans and shit on? He's just
Yeah.
like, hey, I'll tell you a thing about this fucking thing.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's like, that was when he was like, it's like that whole thing of like, when you come onto the scene and like, Bill Burr's a fucking angry dude.
It's never out, you're just not drawing hard
But
enough.
like, you just like fucking, he was angry and he's angry about shit, but he wouldn't let it like bubble over into his entire bit. Whereas now you watch it and he just like walks out and he's like, you know what, all you people are fucked. And this
Yeah.
is why you're fucked, you know, like.
Should have been drawing on that while I lit it. So, again, fuck you and your fucking cigar smoking wankers. Alright, let's get into it. What's the tell us the story about the fucking house party.
Alright. So,
Fuck, do you have any, you're gonna pull out a fucking pipe and start smoking it as well? Some chewing tobacco?
yeah, we've already got the patches on, bro.
Just smoking with the patches on. Like Krusty, when he's trying to quit smoking, he's
like-
just licking the patches and got...
So we're at this fucking house party this night, and this is one of them things, like, the worst part about, like, doing so much when I was younger and drinking a lot is that I've blacked out all these, like, life experience stories and shit, and they just come to me randomly. Like, now I'll just be doing shit, like, I'll be at work making a coffee or something, and I'll just burst into fucking hysterics because I remember this fucking shit that happens. But the problem is I forget that the people I work with the exception of some of the chefs I've worked with, are just fucking everyday people. They weren't at these fucking house parties, like, fucking token on pipes and shit like that. We're at this fucking house party, right? Or rather, I remember this story while I was at work the other day, and I was stupidly tried to fucking explain it to my feminist fucking then person I was working with. And I just like fucking just a normal funny story. So I'm like telling it, I'm busting into hysterics, and as I'm telling it, I'm like, fuck, like I should really stop here, but I can't stop. Like I have to like finish the fucking story.
You can't
She's
just be like, anyway,
she's
so we
just-
all learnt some stuff from it.
yeah,
and,
she's just like, yeah, right. Like I'm just like trying to like casually explain this story, and this is the fucking story. So we're at this fucking house party. Group of mates. This chick rocks up, and she was like the known fucking ganger of this town. As the night progresses on,
we won't disclose which town.
no, and all the friends, all the girl,
Benji. Congo. she was the ganger of Congo.
all 15 residents,
Yeah.
run through that shit like a finish line.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this party, my mate and I are sitting by the fire, and like gradually throughout the night, we've realised that like our friends are one by one fucking disappearing. And it was just like, This is over like
It was like Predator 1.
yeah. It was like a bad. It was like the fucking the Goosebumps book, with like the fucking at the camp and all the campers are disappearing. It's like that, but it was my mates like disappearing, and like because everyone's inside too. Like we would have been like. I would have been 19. Everyone else is like sort of fresh 18. So like there wasn't many smokers. So like I'm just like a leper outside all night.
You know, it's a clean house party when you have to go outside to smoke.
Yeah. Oh, that house got fucked up later, but we're there, like my mate and I, and like we're towards the end of the night. We wanted to go back into town to get more booze, and like the Desi by this point had even fucking disappeared, and we're like, fuck. Better go fucking find everyone, thinking that they'll just be inside in the kitchen talking and shit. We're going through this house and like the groups of people and shit, and like our friends aren't fucking anywhere, and we like say to this one chick like, "Yo, where's fucking where?"
What's his name?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, like him and him and him are like all up in the back bedroom with fucking this chick," and we're like, "Fuck, man, this is gonna be some like." Proper like date rape shit we're about to walk in on. We walk in and here she is in the middle of the fucking room, dicks in all hands, sucking on a fucking dick. She's got one in her ass. Like all of our mates are fucking railing this chick.
And one in each hand, so there's
Yeah,
like fucking
full,
five.
yeah, she's full Voltroning. Like you don't see this shit except for in pornos. We walked in on that, and like because we were fucking pissed, we're just like, "Oh, hey man, what's going on?" And he's like sitting there, he's getting his dicks up, and he's like, "Oh, you guys still want to go into town?" They're all just casual, like they don't fucking care, except for the guy who's in the back who's staring at this guy's fucking asshole. This chick, and this is like this is better than the "Just Do It" fucking slogan. This is fucking words to live by. Slaps the fucking dick out of her mouth. Drops one hand, looks us dead in the fucking eyes and goes, "Either join in or fuck off." So, like, gentlemen, we went back out by the fucking fire and waited until our mates finished up. Man. And, like, I was like, because this was, like, not where I was living, this was, like, out of town. I was like, fuck, like I was just sitting there by the fire trying to comprehend the fact that like 6 of our mates had just been railing this one chick. And I was like, fuck, that happened. And then a friend comes out by the fire and she goes, "Yeah, she's been doing it a lot lately." It's just like fucking, she just woke up one day and was like, "I'd take 6 blokes."
Yeah.
And someone was like, "No, do it, you pussy."
You won't, you're scared.
It.
Just fucking monkey foot in the last one. You know
So-
how they grab a banana when they're trying to use their hands?
So I remembered that story out of nowhere. And then my boss was like, "Oh, it looks like he's having a good time. He's fucking laughing his ass off." And asked what I was laughing about. So I then had to try and explain that fucking story to
Yeah.
somebody.
Someone that's just midway through making a coffee. Just like,
Just like handing coffees out at the time. "Oh, the latte with wine." Anyway, so dicks everywhere. Yeah, man. That was like, and that's probably like one of the...
she's there in the cafe.
She's like, "It was 7, you cunt. Don't
Yeah.
fuck the story."
Undefeated. She's ordered 8 coffees because she's going to take them back to fucking all the boys to keep them charged to go again.
That's it. Fucking more semen than a naval base, bro. But, yeah, that was like...
Only one of it on the poop deck, too.
That was one of the wildest stories that I'd remembered in recent time.
Didn't you tell me one about, like, you go to see your buddies just sitting on the fucking trampoline at the back of a house party, and you're just like, "Hey, what's going on?" There's just a chick in his lap, and he's just having a conversation with you, but he's copping head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just sitting on the
fucking-
edge of a trampoline, like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like,
Man, we had like so many, like, because like some of my mates' group was like pretty fucking close. They just didn't fucking care. And some of the chicks that hung around the group, like in the younger group that I was with, were fucking very definitely like proud to be slutty. Yeah, some fucking funny shit. The problem is you just tell me that story and I'm like, That's a funny story. But it happened to me, but I fucking don't remember it.
Yeah.
It's like fucking having like 10-second memory. Like someone tells me, like I tell someone a joke and they're like, tell me the joke back. I'm like, ha, that's fucking good. And they're like, what's your fucking joke?
You told me that, yeah.
I'm like, oh, I have to remember that one.
It's good though, man. It's like if you watched your favourite movie and you got to watch it again for the first time, like the next time you've seen it.
Yeah. I used to get I get a lot meet up with people from school and shit I went to, and they're like, oh man, remember when you did this? And I'm like,
No.
nah, tell me about it. What happened?
Yeah.
What was the end outcome?
Yeah.
Oh, you got kicked out of school. Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, we got that's pretty much like, I mean, there's a fucking heap of stories, but they're the like more modern ones. What about if we just go back to like, man, there's one funny fucking story from when we were kids. Went camping, the long drop story.
It's fucking...
So we go camping, the old man takes us camping. It's the middle of fucking winter, but I think he just wanted to get out of the house for the weekend. Mum's not keen to come camping, so just
the boys.
Just the boys, right? Go camping. It's in the middle of fucking some old mining Ophir near Orange. And we're fucking
It was
there.
out the back. It was up near Hill End.
Hill End, yeah. You know, go out, camping, take the metal detector, that sort of shit. We planned to stay for a couple of days. So we got all the stuff ready, got the tent and all that stuff, make a fire, fucking got our own little spot. They had the 4-wheel drive at the time, so instead of having to camp on this side of the river, we could do a river crossing and camp on the other side, so there was like no one over there, because everyone else came down in their RAV4s and didn't want to cross the fucking river, because it was low. We got through, and we're like looking around, the end of the next morning after the first night that we spent there, I was like, Dad, where do we shit? And he's just like, in the bush, mate. You just go dig a hole and fucking shit in it.
Yeah,
I was like,
you had to be all civilised.
I'm like, I'm not fucking shitting in a hole in the bush, cunt. So he's just like, oh, well, there's a long drop toilet over the other side of that creek. We'll walk you over there. We'll fucking, we'll take you over there, right? Because we're young enough that we're not really going, like, Dad doesn't want to send us off to the dunny by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So all three of us wander over to the fucking dunny. I go in there. I've never experienced a fucking long drop like this before, because it is fucking like, normally they dig a new one before this point, but it's the first long drop dunny I've ever been to that was fucking pretty much full. Like it was
full.
It was up to, like, the shit was up to the top.
Looking for the button to like dump it, and you're like,
Oh,
there's
that's
no
right.
button.
There
It's just
is
the
no
shit in the
button.
pit.
It's literally a pit of shit under me. So I'm like, Dad, I can't fucking shit in there. It's a long drop toilet that's full to my balls are nearly in other people's shit. I'm not fucking shitting there. He's like, it's alright, just like hover seat it. So I'm like, alright. And I'm like, come back out. Dad, it smells so fucking bad that I can't do it. And he's like, that's alright, hold your nose. So Dad and Luke are out the front of the fucking toilet. I'm in there dry reaching, trying not to fucking puke. I'm holding my fucking nose. I still can't do it. I come out. I've been holding my nose so tight that it starts bleeding. So I'm like, pukey mouth, nose bleeding, eyes watering, like, I can't do it, Dad. And Dad's just like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, I literally just sent you in there to shit, and now you're fucking bleeding somehow.
You're all fucking beat up.
It's like I got beaten up by a smell. Like,
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, man. And then, like, fucking... And then instead of digging a new pit in that fucking place, they just took it out altogether.
yeah, it's
There's
just,
fucking no toilet there.
they're like,
But
you
then,
can
like,
dig your
fucking-
own hole.
So there's a river that run through that. And whenever, like, Dad being the fucking... I'd like to say Dad wasn't paranoid and didn't instill it into us, but Dad was like one of them, like, fucking, don't play with a knife, mate. I had a mate cut his finger off like that.
He had a mate that died from everything.
Yeah.
Like,
And then, like, when I was
Mate,
16,
don't
I was
leave-
like, what
don't do
happened to
that.
your mate with a fucking one arm, one leg, one eye, fucking... And he's like, he fucking died. He did too much stupid shit. And you're like,
Yeah.
fucking all adds up.
Yeah, it's like,
But, like,
what
fucking...
happened to that dude?
Dad's like, don't fucking put your head below the water in the river because we don't know where the river's from. And we're like, all right, yeah, makes sense. And we went out. We used to go camping out there pretty often. We went out there camping one time. The bloke camping next to us worked in the council in the desal plant. And he's like, yeah, man, this is all from, like, this is the runoff from the Orange desal plant. Like, he's like, I wouldn't even fucking swim in it And we're like, yeah, right. And then like the people like that pulled up on the other side of the river that had like all the fancy camping shit, all their kids are like in there. They're like, I look over and they're like, one pops his head up from under the water and like spits the water onto the other guy. And I was like,
Yeah.
fucking old mate, like dad and old mate, like the dude that worked at the desal plant, are both just sitting there like, yeah, right.
Yeah, one of them had a snorkel, and he delve under the water with the snorkel. It fills up with water, and he gets it out like, ha ha, and just blows the water.
Fucking, oh, there's a lump in that one.
Like, holy fuck. Fucking hell. You just see Dick Smith drinking out of it, and he's just like, nah, it's good. No, because we went up a bit further, metal detector, and there was like a dead roo in the water. I'm like, fuck the desal, dude. That's enough for me not to swim in the gun. It's like a dead roo in the water. You could tell it was shit when there was only fucking redfin and carp in that creek.
All fucking carp, man.
Yeah.
And like would catch them and like not eat them, obviously, but like fucking dad would catch them and fucking gut the cunts and just leave them on the side of the bank. You'd be like, people would be like, why aren't you fucking eating a fish? And he's like, I'm doing the fucking water stream a favour by pulling these fucking carp out of here.
Yeah, just get rid of the carp. Yeah, that was fun times. I fucking didn't mind camping. I'm not like a long haul camper, but a couple of nights is always like, especially in Orange in winter.
Yeah.
Like,
I
think we ended up coming home early because Dad was like, it's too fucking cold for me.
Yeah, well, there was that time we went camping and it got down to like -10, and Dad was like, nah, that's it. We were only young at the time too, and Dad was like, nah, it's not fun.
Do you remember when Dad fucking was so it was a 2-part tent.
Yeah,
You and I are in one side, Dad's in the other, and he conjured a fucking buck possum. Dad was snoring so bad that a buck possum thought it was a female and tried to fucking get in the tent to fuck it. And so Dad's just in the middle of the night you see, and we're like, what the fuck is that noise? And Dad just comes in, he's like, boys, there's a buck possum outside the window. I think he thinks I'm a female because I was snoring.
yeah.
Dad said he just slapped the side of the tent and he was like trying to get to it.
Yeah, that was the same time, like it's like how committed Dad was to like doing shit with us when we were kids. He was like,
Don't say it like that.
oh, he wasn't fucking touching us. But like, Dad had like the dicky fucking gallbladder at the time, and something fucking else. Like he was due for an op to get it out, and he was like, fuck it, we'll go camping. Like, kids can't not do something in the fucking school holidays. Would have been like the old man's got a fucking good pain tolerance because of his back.
Probably the highest I've ever seen in anyone.
Well, that's it. Well, when I seen him last and he like fucking took a pain pill, I was like, fucking must be bad if the cunt's on the pain relief.
Yeah, the shit that I've seen the old man put. Dude, we've been, like, I remember when he used to travel to teach karate and stuff. He'd be like, all right, guys, we'll just take a quick break. You grab some water and we'll be back in a minute. Just go in, fucking tink into the toilet, into the fucking urinal. There goes that kidney stone. Wondered what was going on.
Yeah, fucking like pissed out a kidney stone and went back to training.
Yeah, back to training.
Most people are in hospital.
Yeah, just sitting there like, yeah, fucking, that was a bit unpleasant. Just like a kidney stone and a stream of blood just going down the fucking toilet.
It's like time before last, I went out and saw the old man. We were working on a fucking auger. We had to like reinforce the axle on it. And the top of the bars fucking rounded and we like took all the bottom off of it to put in another big bit of like fucking 3-inch plate. And Dad's like, fucking, we've got the big F clamps and they're trying to clamp it in. Dad's like, just watch this bar doesn't slip off of the round and come back and hit you in the head. And like, I've done my side up and I hear the fucking chink and then the fucking cunt. And I thought it was just Dad like fucking getting the shits and punching the clamp or something. I look over and Dad's got like fucking top of his head's like fucking indented. Like you could read the fucking like fucking made in China like off the top of his fucking thing. And I was like, he's like almost knocked him out. It's the first time I've ever seen something hit Dad in the head and almost knock him out. And I was like, fuck. Pull out my do-rag and I fucking wrap it around his head. And I'm like, you want to take a spell, mate? And he's like, nah, I can't fucking spell at the best of time. And I'm like, nah, you're right.
Yeah, as soon as he said that, you're like, he must be right. Yeah, so he goes, and he had it hit him that hard, he had a soft part in his head. Like, it cracked the skull, and it didn't knock him out.
Yeah.
And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's just like, yeah, that could have killed you.
Yeah. And he's like, fucking, a couple of months later, because it kept swelling up, he called me the other week. And he was like, oh, you know, my head kept, like, swelling up where that clamp hit me. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, a bit of the, like, the fucking coating from the air, like, from the clamp had come off and gone under his fucking skin. And was just causing, like, small infections to keep coming up.
Yeah.
Said he woke up one morning, there was just, like, a bit of shit hanging out of his head. And he was like, oh, what's that? And he, like, pulled it out. And it's, like, the bit of the fucking, like, enamel off the clamp hanging out. He's like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll fix that.
It's fucking hell. Like, he's, like, he said that he trod on, he had a bendy in his foot that was so fucking bad it came out the other side. Like, it worked its way through his foot and came out the top of his fucking foot. Like, that's how infected it got. But yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He said he was doing a vertical up one time. A bit of slag dropped down his shirt, through his fucking pants, into his underpants, and was just searing its way into his nutsack, dude. And he was just like, well, if I stop this vertical up, I'm going to have to fucking re-weld it.
Yeah.
Gets right through it. And then, like, so he gets home that night and just jumps in the shower. He's just like, yeah, I had to unbed the bit of slag out of me ball sack and put a Band-Aid on it.
When he was teaching me to weld, I was like, I just woke up one morning. This is when we were living out the farm. Woke up, crawled out of my caravan. It's pretty fucking rough that morning. The old man's like, all right, we're
Used
fucking...
to get fucking cold out there too.
Oh, it's fucking bad. He's like, all right, we're going to, like, we'll do some welding. I was like, all right, I'll fucking whack me boots on. Put me boots on. He's like, no time for that, mate. Like, fucking... So they've got me boots, like, unzipped and shit. And we're, like, welding. I've got, like, slag going down into me fucking boots. He's like, yeah, you're right, mate. Real welder doesn't feel that. And I was like, oh, it's the fucking norm. And then I talked to other people, like, the welders, and they're like, no, it's fucked.
Yeah,
like,
it's like the shit. Like, that was like the fucking Dragon Ball Z training session. Like, see if you can get the fucking, take the slag to the boot. Yeah.
That's it. But, like, even Nen, man, like, remember the story... Dad used to, like, tell us these fucking stories and not, like, be like, oh, this happened to your nan. He'd just tell you the story. And then I heard it from Nen one time, and I was like, oh, fuck, that was you. Nen cutting up the fucking old water tank to make it into a dog hut. And just using an axe, just cutting into this fucking thing. Put an axe between a fucking calf muscle and a fucking shin bone. And then was, like, the only one home at the time, like, fucking... Joe was out, Dad was out, Dot was at school or whatever. And so she just, like, fucking pulled the axe head out, ripped up a bed sheet and coated it in metho and just fucking tied it up and waited, like, the 8 hours until someone was home to be like, yeah, I should probably get some fucking stitches in this. Dad's, like, looking at it. He's like, fucking went through her leg.
Yeah.
And she was just like, eh.
Yeah, and then he goes to the doctor, and because this is like fucking back in the day metho.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the shit you could drink.
Yeah, goes in the doctor, and the doctor's just like, fuck, I don't know which would have hurt more, the axe or the metho.
It's fucking...
Yeah.
Rough cunt.
Rough cunts. Nen was the original fucking field surgeon, though. Yeah, patching Dad up a few times over the years.
Yeah. What was the... I think he only went to the hospital the once when he got fucking done up in that bar fight and then stitched him up every other fucking time.
Yeah, patch him up every time.
Doing the same thing he used to do with us, like stitching him up and just being like, oh yeah, good night at the pub, was it? Oh yeah. Well, you wouldn't get any of these fucking fights if you weren't drinking all the fucking time.
Just
like,
blame him for it. That's what you get for being a drunk.
One in, all in, mate.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, fucking, that hits us at the 1 hour mark, so let's wrap it up with that. And I guess keep it open for some more episodes down the track if people want to hear more stories and shit.
I got a few. I'll remember them as they come back to me.
Yeah, make that list of fucking stories for the pod. But yeah, thanks for being on the show. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. I had fun recording it, so if you didn't like it, well, I don't give a fuck because I had fun doing it. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and rate. Oh, do you have any shout-outs, any sponsors or anything you want to give a shout-out to on the pod?
cunts that like sponsor me.
Yeah, well, anything. Yeah.
Fuck.
I know she had some stuff on social medias for any.
Undaunted Jewelry. If you use my discount code Werewolf666, you'll get a 25% discount. Same as the Bearded Struggle. Same discount code Werewolf666. You'll receive a 25 discount code on beard oil products. I run a knife page where I occasionally make knives and shit. It's Wolf's Lair. You can find that on the handle is Werewolf Lair, I think, on Facebook. That's it. South Coast Metalheads, Canberra Metalheads. Give them a look. We're a bit quiet at the moment, but we've got some shit in the works that we're working on. There'll be some more knives to come out on my knife page soon. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll tag all the shit in there as well. So, yep, thanks again. It's always fucking cool to have to do a podcast. We normally just would be talking shit anyway, so now we get to share that with other people. And fucking catch you next time. Make sure you check out all the shit that Luke just mentioned, which I'll put in there, and Marky Worthington Comedy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well, and Marky Comedy on Twitter, as well as Marky Worthington Gaming. It's like Jim's Comedy, Jim's It's like Marky Worthington Comedy, Marky Worthington Gaming, Marky Worthington Tag and Test, all that sort of shit.
So fucking, you know that Autopsy shirt, the Jim
Slamming, yeah.
I was like doing the lawns the other day, and I was wearing that fucking shirt, not thinking anything of it. I had to go downtown to buy some more fucking mower blades, and the dude's like, "Oh yeah, at the mowers again, are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, just fucking buying some lawnmower blades." Going to the next place, the dude's like, "Oh yeah, how's the mowing going?" I was like, "Yeah, just mowing me lawns, man." And then like I'm in the car and I'm fuming at Poppy. I'm like, there must be another cunt in town that looks like me that fucking mows lawns or something. Like, we have to fucking move. Everyone knows me. This is shit. And she's like, you realise you're wearing like a fucking Jim's mowing shirt? And I was like, that's a fucking Autopsy shirt. I'm like fucking losing my shit. Like,
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I remember that shirt. I think I got mine in a medium, hopefully, thinking that I was going to fit it one day, and it just never worked.
Nah, you're right. You're getting to sleeve the cunt.
Yeah, sleeve the cunt or hang it on the wall. But yeah, thanks for being on the show. Always fucking good to put out an episode, and
stay metal.
Don't buy me a drink. Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big Tony, you'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk.
All day.
Make people feel shamed for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn
it.
it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. We're here
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of.
Just give me $10.
All right.